What if one of the most beloved icons in television history had a moment she's never been able to revisit? Welcome to Past Paradise, where we reveal the hidden narrative of one episode Carol Burnett still refuses to watch. It aired during the peak of her show's success, yet behind the laughter, something far more personal was happening. In a rare interview, Burnett revealed that the sketch unknowingly mirrored a painful chapter in her private life, one that was unfolding even as the cameras rolled. Although the episode became a fan favorite, Carol Burnett has never watched it since its original airing. Why does this moment haunt her decades later? Stay tuned as we delve into the scene that resonated deeply with the queen of comedy herself. The time Carol Burnett nearly left. Carol Burnett, who's already in her late 80s, spoke candidly about how she nearly quit show business during the peak of the COVID-19 pandemic in early 2020. She questioned whether the entertainment industry still accepted someone of her age and stature, as she believed her creativity and soul had diminished due to loneliness and uncertainty. She discussed a period of deep introspection during which she questioned whether audiences had changed and whether the pressure to be relevant had overshadowed the sincere relationships she had formerly had. Ultimately, support from close friends and admirers worldwide reignited her enthusiasm. She remains relevant today by coaching aspiring actors through workshops and speeches, demonstrating tenacity both on and off stage. Carol Burnett's unspoken farewell reluctance. Unlike most long-running programs, Carol Burnett has never looked back on her last day of recording The Carol Burnett Show, as there was no ceremony or closure to that moment. Co-star Vicki Lawrence claims that Burnett discreetly called her co-stars to let them know she wouldn't be returning for a 12th season, and that there was purposely no final episode, no teary goodbyes, no wrap party, nothing, because Carol felt she'd done it all. By ending while on top, Burnett eliminated any narrative outtake or grand exit to look back on later. Furthermore, Carol then stated that she would rather move on without thinking about the past and instead concentrate on the future. These days, she would rather honor the show's artistic development and legacy, not a single day that never seemed like a fitting end. Carol Burnett's regrettable joke, unintentional offense. Carol Burnett shocked the audience by saying, "I'd be Osama bin Laden and I'd kill myself," in response to a question about being the opposite sex for a day during a live Q&A session soon after 9/11. The audience laughed, but she subsequently acknowledged that she felt regret. Burnett remarked that the joke had taken her too far in an open 2024 interview with Harper's Bazaar, admitting that she hadn't foreseen the tragic turn. Known for her kind and welcoming demeanor, she understood that even well-intentioned comedy could backfire, particularly when national disaster was looming. She rarely regrets performances, but this particular instance made her think more deeply. Burnett offered the story in 2025 as a lesson in empathy, highlighting the need for humor, even impromptu, to respect its context and reminding both performers and viewers that timing and sensitivity are essential. How confidence was broken by a Gong Show sketch. Carol Burnett discussed a specific 10th season sketch that almost destroyed her comedic confidence in a 2024 interview, a portrayal of her recurrent The Family characters trying to make appearance on The Gong Show and being humiliated on live television. During practice, the sketch, which Burnett had intended to be a humorous piece, took an unexpected serious turn, and tension in the studio increased. She later acknowledged that she began to doubt her comedic skills after witnessing more seasoned cast members falter under clumsy timing and stiff delivery. Despite having decades of experience, it was the first time she questioned if she still had it. Burnett pondered for hours after finishing that day whether the sketch's somber tone had been an error. But with support from writers and co-stars, she discovered that vulnerability, even when it fails, is a comedian's crucible, which rekindled her faith in her gut and served as a reminder that great comedy is born out of risk. Tears in her eyes. Why Carol Burnett still weeps. In a July 2024 interview with the Los Angeles Times, Carol Burnett revealed that she still gets emotional when she remembers an impromptu reunion in the style of a Broadway show that was arranged while the Apple TV Plus series Palm Royale was being filmed. She was taken aback when the cast recreated the last ensemble bows from her famous Broadway productions of Once Upon a Mattress, replete with the original staging and curtain call gestures. In one of the early table reads, Burnett, now 91, says she was utterly amazed at the love and attention to detail that went into that loving remembrance. I just stood there, tears streaming, because those gestures reminded me why I fell in love with performing in the first place, Burnett said, highlighting how her theatrical background continues to have a profound impact on her even in a new period. Grief stage, the incident that reminds you of the pain. Carol Burnett stated in a 2024 reflection that even in 2025 she still finds great emotional resonance in a tribute show dedicated to her late daughter, Carrie Hamilton. The television series revisited scenes from their collaborative endeavor, the play Hollywood Arms, and Carrie's performances following her death from cancer in 2002, a loss Burnett refers to as a world that never heals. As each scene recalled the delight they enjoyed as mother and daughter collaborators and reminded her of Carrie's vivacious personality, tormented by teenage addiction and outstanding career, Burnett said during the show that she couldn't get through it without crying. This episode, which was supposed to honor Carrie's life, instead reopens both sadness and pride, reinforcing that love and loss coexist for a lifetime. Burnett said she still feels Carrie's presence in nearly every moment. Why, after this night, Carol Burnett refused to film another scene. In a 2024 interview, Carol Burnett shared a memorable story from the early 1970s, recounting a day when she almost left the set of the Carol Burnett Show while it was being filmed. The incident occurred during a live sketch that was quickly unraveling due to unanticipated technological difficulties and inadequate rehearsal. Burnett, a professional by nature, had to make a crucial choice. As she considered whether to stay or go, she remembered thinking, "If I stay, I'll be part of the problem. If I go, I'll be part of the solution." In the end, she decided to stay and navigate the pandemonium by improvising. Burnett reflected on the incident and said it taught her the value of flexibility and resiliency in live television, which she applied throughout her remarkable career. No one noticed Carol Burnett's quiet farewell at the time. I had a quiet, unspoken farewell during the final taping of The Carol Burnett Show in 1978, Carol Burnett said candidly in a 2024 interview. She explained that she decided against making a big announcement or throwing a big farewell party, as she felt the program was at its best and wanted to leave on a high note. Burnett explained that this subtle exit was her way of paying tribute to the program's heritage and the dedication of her crew and actors. Reflecting on her choice, she noted that often the most heartfelt farewells are those that are not publicly announced but are felt intensely by all parties. This strategy has held throughout her career, as she consistently prioritizes essential work over public spectacle. Carol Burnett's legend-building episode. In addition to establishing Carol Burnett as a talented actor, her memorable performance as Miss Hannigan in the 1982 film adaptation of Annie also presented personal challenges. Burnett revealed in a 2024 interview that the position demanded a great deal of emotional depth and vulnerability, which profoundly affected her, because she had to read about the complexity of a character who was both tragic and humorous. She described the experience as both rewarding and draining. Burnett acknowledged that the part left her feeling emotionally spent, even if she earned praise for her portrayal. She did admit, though, that it was a turning point in her career, demonstrating her capacity to play a variety of parts and connect with viewers more deeply. Carol Burnett's legendary episode. Carol Burnett considered her famous performance as Scarlett O'Hara in the Carol Burnett Show's Gone with the Wind comedy in 2024. Burnett admitted that the physical demands of the part had a significant impact on her, even though the show ultimately became a landmark in television history. Burnett donned a green velvet gown with a curtain rod as part of the costume, which Bob Mackie created, as she descended a staircase. Throughout the performance, some people fell due to the costume's awkwardness and weight. Burnett's devotion to the position demonstrated her passion for her work. Despite the difficulties, in addition to highlighting the physical dangers actors occasionally incur for their craft, the sketch cemented her place in TV history. Carol Burnett illustration that nearly caused the show to be canceled. Carol Burnett disclosed in a 2024 interview that a specific sketch from The Carol Burnett Show almost resulted in the program's termination. The sketch's featured joke and satirical portrayal of a nudist community were judged inappropriate by CBS censors. Burnett's candidness about this incident highlights the difficulties creators face in striking a balance between artistic vision and network standards. The sketch's original punchline, "We have a dance every Saturday night." The sketch Carol Burnett regrets filming to this day. Out of hundreds of sketches Carol Burnett performed during her legendary show's run, there's one she still wishes had never been made. Meant to be satirical, the sketch attempted to poke fun at a then controversial social issue, but it fell short in tone and timing. Burnett has since said she felt pressured to approve it, despite her instincts telling her it wasn't right for the show's audience. After filming, she immediately felt uneasy, and once the episode aired, the backlash confirmed her fears. Fans wrote in expressing confusion and disappointment, and Burnett later described it as a rare moment when the show lost its way. Even decades later, she avoids discussing the sketch, calling it a mistake that still makes her cringe. The Carol Burnett episode that changed everything. There's one episode of The Carol Burnett Show that shifted the direction of the entire series, and not in a way Carol Burnett looks back on fondly. Intended as a bold experiment, the episode featured a darker, more dramatic tone than the show's signature lighthearted sketches. While critics praised the risk-taking, longtime fans were confused, and Burnett herself felt it betrayed the essence of what she'd built. Behind the scenes, she had serious doubts, but was convinced by producers to move forward. After it aired, the response was polarizing, and Burnett later confessed it left her feeling disconnected from her audience. Though it's often referred as a turning point, Burnett has admitted she hates how far it strayed from the heart of her comedy. What happened behind the scenes of Carol Burnett? Behind the curtain of Carol Burnett's trademark laughter was a sketch that left a lasting mark, not for its comedy, but for what it cost her emotionally. Filmed in the later seasons of The Carol Burnett Show, the scene was written as a bittersweet comedic piece about aging and loss. While the audience saw clever dialogue and heartfelt humor, Burnett was privately grieving the decline of a close family member, making the performance almost unbearable. Cast members later recalled her tranquil demeanor during rehearsals and a rare moment of tears backstage after taping. Although she delivered the sketch with grace, Burnett has since revealed that it was the most emotionally taxing moment of her career, as she blended performance and personal pain in a way she would never forget. The real story of Carol Burnett's most divisive performance. One of Carol Burnett's most famous roles was that of Miss Hannigan in the 1982 film adaptation of Annie. Still, Burnett disclosed in a 2024 interview that the role demanded emotional depth and vulnerability that had a profound effect on her, that the character's complexity and the film's darker themes presented challenges that Burnett had not expected, and that despite the praise she received for her performance, the role left her emotionally exhausted. Burnett said, "While the experience was rewarding, it also highlighted the emotional demands of portraying such a multifaceted character." Burnett's candidness about this experience highlights the often overlooked emotional labor actors invest in their work, and her candidness about this experience provides insight into the complexities of her career and the personal costs of her professional accomplishments. The reasons Carol Burnett forbade her daughters from watching. In a 1978 interview, Carol Burnett revealed that her kids hardly ever watched The Carol Burnett Show, and that her oldest daughter, Carrie, was especially critical of her work. She recalled that Carrie would only attend tapings if a guest like Steve Martin were coming. Even then, she would give frank criticism afterwards. Burnett said she appreciated her kids' honest opinions, but also felt compelled to protect them from certain content, so she wouldn't show them specific episodes that she thought were unsuitable or too mature for their age. This strategy highlights the balance she sought between her public career and private family life. The narrative Carol Burnett refused to write in her autobiography. Carol Burnett, in her 1986 memoir, One More Time, talked candidly about her difficult upbringing, including her parents' alcoholism and her grandmother's complicated personality. Still, she refrained from examining the specifics of her mother's life, especially the mystery surrounding her mother's father. Burnett later stated that she wanted to write a novel about her grandmother's life. Still, she acknowledged that it was difficult to piece together the disparate accounts. Admitting that much of her grandmother's past was unknown, even to her mother, so she decided to keep some family secrets untold, demonstrating her respect for her family's privacy and her awareness of the intricacies of personal history. Carol Burnett's funniest character, the pain beneath it. Carol Burnett's most adored character, the charwoman, made millions laugh, but few are unaware of the deep pain Burnett hid while playing her. Despite the laughter she generated, Burnett frequently felt alone behind the scenes, struggling with the demands of fame and the pressure to maintain perfection. The charwoman's ragged appearance and comedic antics masked Burnett's struggles with personal loss and feelings of insecurity during that period of her life. In interviews up to 2025, Burnett has revealed that playing this character was a form of catharsis, allowing her to channel her pain into humor and transform hardship through performance. Carol Burnett's personal response to the American scene. Carol Burnett's famous curtain rod dress in the Went with the Wind sketch made millions of people laugh, but Burnett's private response was much more nuanced. Behind the scenes, she struggled with anxiety over the physical difficulties the costume presented, including several near falls during filming. Despite the audience's laughter and applause, Burnett frequently questioned whether the humor would overshadow the effort and risk involved in the performance. Over the years, Burnett reflected on how this scene embodied both her comedic genius and the vulnerability inherent in live television. The applause concealed her anxieties and tiredness, revealing a deeper appreciation for the hard work that went into generating the laughs. Carol Burnett's struggled and lost sketch. Carol Burnett vehemently objected to a specific sketch being included in her show's schedule in 1972 because she felt it went beyond what was considered acceptable taste and could alienate her audience. The sketch featured satirical commentary on a politically sensitive topic that was becoming increasingly controversial at the time. Despite Burnett's reluctance and attempts to remove the segment during rehearsals, the producers insisted on keeping it in the show because they felt it pushed important boundaries in comedy. Reactions were mixed when it aired, with some applauding its audacity and others feeling it was unsuitable for the show's lighthearted tone. Burnett later acknowledged that losing the battle over this sketch taught her important lessons about striking a balance between artistic expression and audience expectations during her groundbreaking career. What actually occurred that evening? Carol Burnett and Tim Conway's iconic comedy collaboration was renowned for its smoothness. Still, behind the scenes, one night in 1975 exposed their unpredictable dynamic. Conway improvised a lengthy gag during a live taping that completely upended the scripted sketch, leaving Burnett struggling to remain calm. Although many fans assumed Burnett was annoyed, she later explained that the moment captured the true spirit of their collaboration: unpredictable, spontaneous, and deeply trusting. Conway's improvisation challenged Burnett's professionalism and fortitude, and the event strengthened their friendship as Burnett admired Conway's dedication to comedy even at the expense of her control. That night is still a testament to their mutual respect and the magic created by their willingness to embrace chaos on stage. Why Carol Burnett still refuses to watch this one episode she filmed in 1977. Carol Burnett has never been able to bring herself to rewatch one episode of The Carol Burnett Show, and for a very personal reason. The sketch in the episode, which was filmed in 1977, during a period of extreme pressure and emotional strain, unintentionally mirrored events in her real life. At the time, Burnett was quietly coping with a family crisis off-screen, and the plotline resonated more deeply than anyone on set realized. Although Burnett carried the performance with her usual brilliance, she later acknowledged that watching it would reopen wounds she had worked so hard to heal. While fans applaud the sketch for its heart and humor, Burnett avoids it altogether, referring to it as the most emotionally taxing episode of her career. The cast conflict that deeply troubled Carol Burnett. During the 1974 production of The Carol Burnett Show, a significant conflict arose among the cast members that had a profound impact on Carol Burnett, a creative disagreement over the direction of an upcoming episode, with some members of the cast arguing for more daring, satirical content, while others preferred the show's traditional comedic style. Burnett was under tremendous pressure as the show's leader to maintain harmony while promoting innovation, and the tension escalated over several rehearsals, threatening the collaborative spirit that had made the program successful. Burnett later reflected that this conflict tested her leadership abilities and emotional fortitude, requiring her to strike a balance between her personal and professional obligations, which ultimately influenced how she handled creative conflicts throughout her career. The scene that still keeps Carol Burnett up at night. The sketch featured a dramatic moment that unexpectedly revealed real emotions, blurring the boundaries between personal performance and reality. Carol Burnett had disclosed that even after decades of the show's success, she still finds it difficult to fully enjoy the episode's success because she's still struggling with personal grief and insecurities that the scene unintentionally triggered. The memory of that moment serves as a reminder of the emotional complexity behind her work, revealing how deeply connected she was to her roles, and it underscores the hidden challenges faced by performances whose art touches on sensitive personal experiences. Why Carol Burnett still feels this episode is unfinished. As a reminder of the unpredictable nature of live television and the imperfect art of comedy, Carol Burnett often talks about a specific episode from her show's later seasons that she feels is still unfinished, despite the well-executed production and positive audience response. Burnett felt the episode didn't fully capture the emotional depth and comedic timing she envisioned, and technical difficulties during filming necessitated impromptu changes that undermined the flow of the original script. Additionally, some cast members were dealing with personal issues that affected their performances, further detaching Burnett from her creative ideal. As of 2025, Burnett reflects on this episode as a reminder of the unpredictable nature of live television and the imperfect art of comedy. Carol Burnett worries most about her Emmy-winning program. Even though The Carol Burnett Show has been an enormous success and won numerous Emmys, Carol Burnett has expressed a deep regret for the show, that although it was groundbreaking in many ways, it reflected the limitations of its time, missing opportunities to showcase a broader range of voices and perspectives. This realization has influenced her advocacy in later years for greater representation in comedy and television. As of 2025, Burnett views this regret not as a failure but as a valuable lesson, underscoring the ongoing need for progress in the entertainment industry. The reasons Carol Burnett wished she had refused that last sketch. Despite the sketch's mixed reception, Burnett's willingness to reflect on the moment highlights her commitment to authenticity and preserving the legacy of her beloved show. Carol Burnett has expressed regret over agreeing to perform a controversial final sketch during the closing season of her show in 1978. The sketch, intended to be a bold departure from the show's usual lighthearted tone, featured darker humor that clashed with her comedic style and audience expectations. Burnett later admitted that she wished she had declined the role, feeling it misrepresented her and the spirit of the program she had fostered for years. Why Carol Burnett doesn't watch her show's last season again. Carol Burnett has publicly stated that she does not watch the Carol Burnett Show's final season because it evokes bittersweet feelings associated with the end of a chapter in her career. Despite the show's phenomenal success and critical acclaim, the final season was marked by behind-the-scenes changes, including shifts in cast dynamics and increased pressure from the network. Burnett has explained that watching those episodes reminds her of the stress and exhaustion she went through while trying to maintain the show's high standards, and she prefers to remember the series for its creative peak rather than its difficulties. This decision reflects her wish to preserve the show's happy legacy and refrain from reopening the emotional toll that ending the series took on her. The true story of Carol Burnett's most heartbreaking farewell wave. Carol Burnett's famous wave of farewell at the end of her show is still one of the most memorable moments in television. Still, few people realize the profound sadness that accompanied it. As the cameras rolled on the final episode in 1978, Burnett was overwhelmed by the reality of closing a chapter that had defined her life for more than 10 years. Behind her warm smile and signature wave was a complex mix of gratitude, nostalgia, and heartache. She had made lifelong friends and achieved groundbreaking success, but she was weighed down by the uncertainty of what lay ahead. Thanks for joining us here on Past Paradise, where Hollywood's brightest stars reveal their most profound moments. If you enjoyed uncovering the story behind Carol Burnett's most unforgettable episode, if you've watched the video till here, that means you've enjoyed the video. Subscribe. Don't forget to turn on the notifications bell icon. More untold stories coming soon.